I mean, Skype was $8 billion. I don't even, I'm just, as a technology writer, I just scratch my head at that, right? And it's brand recognition, you're buying brand recognition in a story, and it's, Fred?
It's just the difference between they can put their $8 billion in something that they know will make them another $8 billion in 2 years versus something that they're not sure will make them $8 billion in 5 years or 10. And that's the difference. The investors today, I've talked to a lot of investors in the past 3 years, and they are interested in putting in their money in things that they know give them a 30% return in 3 years. They're not as interested in putting their money in something that gives them a nebulous return. And so that's what we haven't defined well, or we haven't communicated well, is how do they make their money back and how much more do they make? And one of the things I like to compare to is Christopher Columbus. He tried to sell his shorter trade routes to the Far East, and he accidentally discovered a continent, which they then called the New World. How much money did we make? How much did it improve the world economy to find that new world? And who are the people who benefited, really?
For a large company, though, can it be brand recognition for them also? I mean, Google's involved, right? And we don't ever get comment on really why Google's involved with this, right? They've been the sponsor. But I can tell you that as someone who talks about this concept in my group of friends, doesn't think about space. So when I introduce this concept, the thing that is the validator for what I'm saying is the word Google, right? No offense to the X Prize Foundation, but no one in my wife's art group has heard of the X Prize Foundation, right? There's like 8 graduations here. Every single person at those graduations in the last 2 days knows Google, right? And it's, for them, there's no business plan for Google in this particular case other than brand recognition in trying things that are hard, right? And that's what they're known for. And I think from a sponsorship standpoint, I don't know, where's Bing?
Well, that's the whole thing, is that if the investor standpoint could be that if you want to sponsor a team, then that's, your name will get out there. And that's something that the X Prize Foundation released in one of their videos, everything, the why sponsor an X Prize team, and that there could be a compelling story to be made for an investor right now that investing in this is going to be worth your money because your logo is going to be on the moon. And that is the compelling story for right now. But I think attention needs to be paid to the end game. It's what comes next. What are you going to do? Like, what is the winning team going to do, or the second place team? And I appreciate that the X Prize is structured in this way that 2015 comes around, and by some chance no team actually gets there, then it doesn't vanish. It goes to 15. And if someone lands, in 2 years from now, and someone's a month later, and they just have to, launch delays, then there's still that $5 million prize available. So there's still incentives for people to continue through and not just abandon their teams. Is a second place finish going to be front page news? I'm not sure. Definitely the history would show that the first place team will get the, the most media coverage by order of magnitude. And it's still going to be interesting, but it's up to the companies involved to keep harping that. If your company helped put something on the moon, then that's a great marketing opportunity for you just to harp on. So,
can anybody in the room name the second prize team, or the second place team on the Ansari X Prize? Amanda Stiles doesn't count. She's here from X Prize, so she can't answer. Anybody else?
So
nobody, right? I mean, you guys are competing in an X Prize,
crickets,
Well, right? Well, so no, second place won't be remembered, right? Nobody remembers Charles Lindbergh was followed by 2 guys who actually flew 300 miles further 2 weeks later. 2 weeks. I mean, it's nothing, right?
But if your piece of technology is on the moon, then that could provide an incentive for someone that even saying that. Well, knowing that, of course, anybody that donates to a team wants to be the winning team. But there's still a backup plan, so there's still something along, there's still an incentive to complete it. You just don't abandon ship.
But branding is great. Getting your name on the moon is great, but that's not a repeatable business model. That's not what people are investing in for the long term. You have to be able to do repeatable missions. You have to be able to deliver value to customers. And if you're not delivering value to customers, your brand doesn't have any value, really. Google's brand has value because they deliver value to their customers. And who are their customers? Everybody who goes to Google and uses the search engine, for one thing, and all of the advertisers who use Google. What we have to do is determine how to deliver value to customers, and that's what makes the brand more valuable. Great, we have somebody's logo on the spaceship, but that doesn't pay for the mission. I mean, that pays for one mission. After you do 10 missions, who's going to care about the logo on the rocket?
Well, you know, Google yesterday had their space doodle.
Was terrific, by
Which
the
was
way.
interesting, but where is the Google doodle for the X Prize for this event? Why is the organization that has a reach that we don't, why aren't they having a Moon X Prize Day? And when is that coming? And because as we sell sponsorships, obviously Google is a big deal, and it represents it's a brand that everyone recognizes, but what does that really mean to anybody who's one of our sponsors? Yeah, they can change their brand, they can look out of the box or whatever, but it's not clear to the team members what the long-term value proposition that as they represent us, and whether we're winners and what that's going to look like, because those are things we sell. You know, we can sell, how many hits Google has and what percent of those hits is related to the X Prize and this particular prize. I mean, all those statistics Amanda and her team have fed us as we've asked for them. But the fact is, we really do need to know what the big splash is going to be from a Google standpoint for these teams when this thing does hit and one of us win it.
We've asked them that, Tim.
And
Good
the
question.
answer has been?
The answer has been they've tried to get it through and nobody in corporate management has approved it. And so I'm asking the same question. When are we going to get it?
They do have the ability, and it's funny, as a large brand, right? There are a handful of brands in the world that really could through one management decision, completely change the outlook, right? I mean, what's the big deal for them to put it on the roadmap or talk about it at Google I/O last week, right? I mean, they talked about Android forever. I mean, would it have been that big of a deal to put it on the roadmap for 60 seconds and talk about how, some tie-in between their new Android phone announcement and, maybe we could get one of the Google Lunar X Prize teams to take an Android phone up with them. I mean, that's, why hasn't somebody from the Android team contacted you about having their Android phone drive the rover, right?